I am going to be ranking every single gadget in the Insomniac Spider-Man games. There's quite a bit of gadgets in the Insomniac games, and a lot of them are really powerful. If I had to choose, I'd say the gadgets here are a lot stronger than other superhero games gadgets. That being said, they're all really fun to use. And at this point, with 3 entries into the series, there's a lot of gadgets to discuss in these games. Most of these gadgets in these games range from extremely powerful to just good. At the very least, all these gadgets are just really good, but some are obviously better than others. So let's just rank them and get started on ranking every single gadget in the Insomniac Spider-Man games. Now, for this list, I'm going to primarily rank them on combat sections and not so much the stealth sections of the games. The gadgets in these games aren't necessarily designed for stealth sections. They definitely work in those sections, but not enough for me to warrant a separate tier list for stealth sections specifically. So I'm going to be ranking these gadgets primarily on how well it does in combat, but I will discuss on how well they work in stealth sections as well, just for the sake of the video and how I feel about them there. So there you go. And here are the tiers. There's legit only 3 tiers, with the best being at the top and spectacular tier, the middle being amazing tier, which is like A tier, and B tier being at the bottom, which is least best tier, which is what I titled it, since every gadget I think in this game is great. There's legit only 3 tiers because of that, because none of them are necessarily bad. Okay, so keep that in mind. Let's get started. So for the first game, Marvel's Spider-Man 1, in my opinion, had the most busted gadgets in the entire series. They definitely tuned them in future entries, but in this game, I actually loved how strong they were. But let's go ahead and start simple with the web shooters. Now, the web shooters are the classic go-to gadget in these games. It's the same in all the games, more or less, and I would say it's one of the best gadgets. It's S tier. The web shooters are really good for a lot of reasons, but the most notable to me is how often you can use them. A limit with the other gadgets in the games are the ammo usage. You don't get a lot of them. The web shooters have the most quote-unquote ammo, so to speak, and they recover slowly on their own. So you don't need to do a takedown or use some kind of ability to refill them really. They'll come back on their own, making it always reliable and consistent to use, which is big. Consistency is a big factor when it comes to these kind of things for me, so this has that in the books. On top of that, in combat, this thing can one-shot enemies. Shooting enemies near walls just sticks them to the wall, taking them out. Shooting enemies on the ground webs them on the ground, taking them out. Uppercutting an enemy, webbing them up, and then dragging them onto the ground takes them out too. The versatility here is unbound. As far as Predator sections go, its use is not the best, I'd say, but it's not worthless either. You can definitely catch people near surfaces and just hit them with the web shooters and stick them onto the walls. But stealth sections in this game are more so using your environment to take them out rather than your gadgets, which is really cool, but since it's designed that way, the web shooters you don't use typically in those sections, but it still can be used, I'd say, with how I said, quickly latching people on the surfaces to take them out, giving it that much more versatility. And another thing to note is that the upgrades for it come early on in the game, allowing you to use it more efficiently in your playthrough more than any other gadget. Not only that, this gadget works on bosses too. A lot of gadgets do that, but since this one has a bunch of ammo, you can use it consistently in a boss fight, dealing more damage with it. There were times in Spider-Man 1 where I remember that I didn't have other gadgets because the ammo count was running out for me, but the web shooters were always there. That, coupled with the extreme versatility it has with basically every other move in Spider-Man's kit, makes it an incredible tool in combat. It's a very reliable tool. With basically no cons in how often you use this, I would definitely put it in spectacular tier. It's the go-to gadget, has so much versatility, you don't run out of ammo with it often, which is big, and it leads into so many combat advantage states for you that it just has to be S tier for me. Great gadget. Now, moving on, the impact web. Now, the impact web is really strong, really good, and really reliable. It's legit an instant knockout on someone. Basically, it's what it sounds like. It's a web shot that's stronger than usual, knocking the person so far away, and if they hit a surface, it lashes them onto it, taking them down. Even if the target doesn't hit a wall, they'll land on the ground for you to use your web shooters to take them out. For how quick it comes out, for how quick it hits the target and takes out the target, makes it very consistent and really strong. It's basically just a quicker use of a web shooter in a way. It kind of does what the web shooter does, but faster. It also knocks people down that get in the way of someone hit with the web shooter, allowing you to web them up or something, adding more versatility. As far as Predator sections go too, it's actually way more valuable than the web shooter, I'd say, because with a web shooter, in order to get the most value, you have to hit people near surfaces like walls for it to be of real use. The impact web, though, you can take people out quick and it'll knock them all the way to a wall, taking them out. It's a bunch of free knockouts when used effectively. Now, as far as this gadget goes, one con of it is that it's very limited in usage. You only get like 4 uses of this when it's fully upgraded, and technically it only takes out 1 person per shot, which in this game you typically fight a lot of enemies at once, way more than 4. So while it is strong at what it does, It doesn't affect the fight as much as web shooters, I would say. Even though it only has 4 usages though, there's skills and upgrades in the game that let you refill gadgets to keep using it, helping them mitigate that issue. It's a really strong gadget though, but its versatility isn't the strongest compared to the web shooter, which I do think is something to consider. And early game, especially where you don't have many upgrades to constantly refill your gadgets, it can be kind of whatever at times, but still very good at what it does. For that, I would actually put it in amazing tier. It's still a really strong gadget, it's just not as reliable as web shooters, at least in my opinion. Next up though, we got the web bomb. Now the web bomb I think is extremely powerful. I think right next to the web shooters, it's the best gadget in the game. And why, you may ask? Well, let's talk about it. This gadget has a massive AoE effect that gives it so many utilities. The web bomb is a web shot you throw out, and after like, I don't know, half a second, it explodes, webbing up enemies in the vicinity, which is a decently sized radius. Needless to say, this gives it a ton of versatility. Is there a ton of enemies by a wall? Pop a web bomb and see a ton of them stick onto said wall. Oh wait, they didn't get stuck to the wall? No worries, use a disruptor gadget to blow them all towards the wall, or just web kick them onto the walls. Getting overwhelmed? Use a web bomb. One of the biggest perks of the web bomb is how amazing it works in tandem with the other gadgets. The effect on its own is already fantastic, but once you have a bunch of people webbed up, all your other gadgets pretty much benefit from it. Like I said, Disruptor just takes them all out if they hit surfaces, which is pretty much always. The Suspension Matrix, web bomb them all and just pull them down to take them down. There's just so much enjoyment, but also so much more versatility here that makes it extremely useful to me. As far as Predator sections go though, it's not really useful unless you just want to jump into a combat fight right away, so yeah, here in Predator sections, not really the best. And also, it has the common issue of the gadgets having limited ammo in these games, but the perks of this gadget to me outweigh that specific con. Particularly in Spider-Man 1, the gadgets in the game have synergy with each other, like you can pair gadgets really well in this game to do creative and beneficial things. However, the web bomb synergies are stronger than other synergies in the game, if that makes sense. It might be the best in my opinion. So for all of those reasons, the web bomb is easily S tier, right behind web shooters I'd say. Extremely powerful gadget, outside the web shooters is one of my favorite to use. The next one I'm going to be ranking is the Suspension Matrix. Now the Suspension Matrix I think is kind of whatever. Now, even though like a whatever gadget in the Spider-Man games, it's not even bad because all the gadgets in the game are good, but comparing it to other gadgets, it's just alright in my opinion, and let me explain. Now the gadget by itself isn't bad. It sends people up in the sky and keeps them there floating for a little while you can do air combos or use gadgets on them and whatever. It's nice. It keeps a lot of the enemies off of you, which is cool. And this gadget synergizes well with other gadgets. Shoot enemies with the trip mine while they're in the air and take them straight down for quick takedowns. Shoot them with the web shooters and pull them down to do the same thing. Synergy wise, it's pretty nice. But for what it does on a basic premise, it's not a go-to gadget I would use often. I will say though, the perk of this gadget is that it can bypass like shield and armored enemies, whereas other gadgets can't really do that, so that adds value to this. But these kind of enemies you can just not use the gadget and save it and just take them down regularly, right? And I feel that overall, the web bomb does what this does, but better in a way. Something else about this gadget that I think is worth noting is that this gadget is pretty slow in comparison to others. Like the web bomb and impact shot, for example, is pretty fast in what they do. The Matrix is like, puts them in the air, but then you have to still take them out. Basically, because of that, I feel people are less inclined to use this gadget due to the lack of immediate gratification. And also for Predator sections, this gadget is a loud one, so it'll reveal your location and start a combat section if you were wondering. Overall, the gadget's still good to use. It is because it gets people off you, but it's not as quick as taking people out necessarily. And as far as gadget synergy goes, I'd say stuff like the web bomb does it better. So because of that, I would put it here in least best tier. Next up, the Electro Web. Now the Electro Web, I don't know how to rank this honestly. It's a web shooter that's electrified that shocks people, basically stunning them, and it can also ricochet into nearby people. For what it does, it's pretty good. One of the best perks about this gadget is how fast it is and what it does. It's kind of like the impact web and how fast it comes out. You shoot it one time and let it shock everyone around, and while they're stunned, you can go ahead and beat them up. It's quick and efficient at what it does, but unlike other gadgets, it's not a quick way of taking people out in my opinion. Its utility is nice by its own. It's not bad, but if I'm trying to end the fight, I'm picking an impact web over this, you know what I mean? And as far as synergy goes, it's not the best in working with other gadgets. I think it definitely has a use for how quick and effective it activates, but considering the aforementioned things that I said, I wouldn't put it above some of the better gadgets. And in Predator sections, it really doesn't do much other than reveal your location. So for those reasons, I would actually put it at the top of least best here. It's still pretty good for what it is, don't get me wrong. It's just not as good as the others, I would say. There's not much else to say about it really. It's a pretty straightforward gadget, but overall, I like it. Now the next gadget is the spider drone. Now the spider drone is pretty good for a specific reason in that it stays around for quite a while. You shoot it out and it flies around shooting at other people. It's nice because you don't need to necessarily worry about anything like who to shoot and whatnot. It does things on its own, but it's relatively weak in what it does. Like when you use it, it does do damage and you can take people out with it, but it's not as effective as other gadgets, I would say. With that being said, this is the kind of gadget that I would just throw out because, like, why not, right? All it does is help in a fight, and it takes, like, no time at all to come out, but I still feel like it's not much of a game changer, honestly. It's kind of a background gadget, and it doesn't really make a difference. Stealth sections, it's basically useless. It's not a quiet gadget. So overall, though, it's a pretty good gadget in combat, I would say, but at the same time, it doesn't make for much use in a fight, so for that, I would put it in B tier. Next up, the concussion detonator. Now, this gadget is unique. Now, what this gadget does is that it just sends a huge gust against people, blowing them away. It's pretty cool, and the radius for it is really decent. However, by itself, it's kind of just whatever, right? It shoots them away, and they land on the ground. However, with other gadgets, it works really well. The synergy here is off the charts. Like, use a concussion detonator, and then web people up on the ground to take them out. Use a web bomb, then use a concussion detonator to take them all out at once. In that regard, it's really good. This gadget is really used well that way and the go-to gadget for synergy. So because of that, it's kind of hard to rank this one because on its own, it's whatever. But when used with other gadgets, it's really good. But I think other gadgets that synergize with this are better as standalones overall. Like web bombs and web shooters, for example, are still really good without using the concussion detonator, whereas the concussion is kind of whatever without the help of the other gadgets, right? In Predator sections, I would say it has some use though, because some stealth sections are placed around tall buildings. The concussion can shoot them off the building, instantly taking them out. So this gadget is cool for that. It has somewhat of a use before turning a stealth section into a combat section, so yeah. So for those reasons, it's kind of hard to rank this one. I think in synergy with other gadgets, this thing is like A tier. It's really good. But I would say by itself, it's around here in B tier, which I'm placing it. But keep that in mind. In the synergy world, it's A tier. By itself, I think it's a like high B tier. But finally, for the first game, we have the trip mine. Now the trip mine, I think is really good. You shoot it and it basically kills one person. It sticks them somewhere and takes them down. It's similar to the impact web in that it can take people out fast. However, the trip mine can also take 2 people out at once, which is nice. It works well with like the Matrix gadget, for example, and that just takes people out, like I said, shoot them straight to the ground. I think this gadget is really strong, like A tier gadget. Like I said, it's very similar to the impact web in that it can quickly take people out, and if you have enough upgrades and abilities, it refills fairly fast during fights. And notably, the impact web might be your best gadget in stealth sections. I mean, they even showcase it in the gameplay reveal showcase thing. You can stick it on the walls and it acts like a trap where it'll take people out. And it takes 2 people out at once too, potentially, which is also really good. The versatility of it isn't as extensive as some other gadgets, but it's very strong at what it does. I would put it right around A tier here next to the impact web. I think it's really strong. Okay, those were all the gadgets for the first game. Moving on, let's go to Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, Spider-Man Miles Morales has 3 new gadgets to discuss, so let's get right to it. First of all, the web shooters in this game are the same, if you're wondering. I rank the web shooters the same in all the games, so keep that in mind. But moving on to the first real gadget, the hologram. Now, the hologram gadget in Miles Morales is interesting. It's what it sounds like, it's a hologram, but these holograms actually fight the enemies and does damage to them. Fully upgraded, it explodes when it deactivates, knocking enemies back. What I will say about this gadget is that overall, it feels similar to the spider drone from MSM1. You throw it out and it's nice to have at your side, but it really doesn't do much to affect the outcome of the fight, you know? Overall, the gadget feels pretty gimmicky. It's nice to do damage to enemies. I think it works great towards the end of fights when you need to pick off enemies, but you can go through an entire fight without using this and it wouldn't really feel like much of a difference. It's nice and distracting a few enemies for a little while, and yes, it's the kind of gadget that's like why not use it, right? Because ultimately it does nothing but help. But it's not like the impact web, for example, or web shooters where it just gives you a lot of versatility and usage. It's just kind of there. In predator sections, it's kind of pointless too. As you can imagine, it's not really designed to be there, so yeah, I'm not gonna really factor in stealth sections when ranking this, but overall, it's still pretty good to use. I would rank it actually around the spider drone because I feel like they're both very similar in what they do. I will rank it lower than the spider drone though, because I feel like the spider drone has more usage and versatility, I guess, but overall, the hologram, not so bad. The next gadget is the remote mine. Now, the remote mine, for depending on who you ask, might be the best new gadget in this game. Well, maybe, we'll see. So the remote mine is something you shoot at people, and then you can choose when to trigger it. When you do, it shocks people and the people around them as well. It's really good compared to the other gadgets in this game. It shocks them for quite a while, allowing you to just kick their ass. And it's a bit versatile since you can kind of choose when to shoot it, allowing you to kind of have a bit of leeway. The best thing about this gadget is that it's easily the best one for stealth sections because the environment is actually designed for these things in stealth sections. There's electrical box things you can place this on, and if someone's in the vicinity, you can take them out. It's pretty good. In this game, there's only 4 gadgets, and if we're comparing this one amongst the others, it's really good. I wouldn't say it's as strong as like a web bomb or impact web or something, but I would put it at like the bottom of amazing tier. It's solid, better than the drone and the hologram for sure, which is why I don't want to put it in B tier. So for that, it's like at the bottom of A. I think it's a good gadget. Next up, we got the gravity well gadget. So this gadget is kind of like the opposite of the suspension matrix. It pulls people into vicinity to the ground, leaving them on the ground defenseless. So this gadget is pretty useful. For one, it's really the only gadget that allows you to web people on the ground, right? Like it knocks them to the ground for you to instant knock them out with a web shooter. And that's just one of its uses. The versatility is pretty extensive. If you need people to get off you, this is a nice gadget for that. For synergy with the web shooters, it's a good gadget too. It has all of that going for it, and in Spider-Man Miles Morales, the gadgets have a little less synergy than the previous game, so this being the gadget that fills that void is nice. It definitely for me is my go-to gadget outside the web shooters because it allows me to kind of customize how I take people out in a useful kind of way, and as far as stealth sections go, it has a little bit of use. It pulls them to the ground for you to web shooter them to take them out. So that's cool, but you know, it's kind of whatever in that regard. I think for what this gadget is in the games, it's the best outside the web shooters to me. But still, it's kind of whatever. I would put it right above the remote mine in A tier. It's good, I really like it, but it's just not the best. Cool, that's all the gadgets for that game. Now for the final game, Marvel's Spider-Man 2. More gadgets in this game as well, but overall, I think they're better than Miles Morales. Let's go ahead and rank them. Let's go ahead and start with the upshot. Now, the upshot, I would say, is decent in this game. It shoots 3 people up in the air, keeping them up in the air for you to do whatever. Web them up and pull them down, cool. Do an air combo, cool too. It's like the suspension matrix, but for some reason, I think for this game, I think it's a bit better than the Matrix simply because it targets 3 enemies anywhere on the arena rather than a certain vicinity. If you're getting shot by like 3 different people in 3 different spots, you can use this to get them all off of you. I think for that reason, its value is a little better than the Matrix, but still, it's not my go-to gadget in this game simply because the other ones I feel have more of a use. My reasonings for this are similar to the Matrix. Even though this game has less gadgets, I still value other gadgets in this game over this one. That being said, I think because of the lack of gadgets in this game compared to the first, it has more value since your kit is smaller in that regard, you know? And as far as Predator sections go, yeah, this thing will turn it into a combat section, so it's kind of whatever there. But I think for those reasons, it's actually low A. I think it's a little bit better than the Matrix, honestly. If this gadget was like in Marvel's Spider-Man 1, it would probably be B tier, but in this game specifically, I would put it in low A tier, so I put it, yeah, right there. Next up, we have the concussive burst, the disruption gadget that blows up and knocks people away. So this gadget is pretty decent. It knocks people down, allowing you to web them up on the ground, right? So it's versatile in that regard. It's also just a good get off me tool. If there's a bunch of people swarming you, you can use this to get them off of you. In Predator sections, it's pretty worthless though, so let's just get that out of the way. It's not really anything to use there. However, to add more to its versatility in combat, it's really good against the symbiote enemies, right? Since sound is their weakness, it's designed in this game to do that. It stuns them, allowing you to do a bit more damage to them. So late game, this thing's value goes up a lot more because you can fight these symbiotes better with this gadget. Before that though, it's still pretty decent because it can be used in tandem with the web shooters. Because it can be a good get off me tool, it's really quick to use as well. It triggers pretty much instantly. Honestly, I would likely put this right next to the upshot in this game. I'd say it's a little lower though, just because I think upshot does things better, and also this thing's value doesn't go up until like the late game when you fight symbiotes. But still, overall, not too bad of a gadget, especially versus those symbiotes, so I would put it in low A tier. Next up, we have the Web Grabber. Now, the Web Grabber is a really unique gadget. It pulls multiple enemies into one place, making them vulnerable to area attacks. It also pulls like interactable items around the area, which makes enemies take damage but also leaves some on the ground, allowing you to web them up. I think the Web Grabber is really good. It's my go-to gadget in this game for some reason outside the web shooters, because it's definitely a good gadget to just throw out. In fact, in this game, I think it's the gadget to do just that. It's good at keeping yourself from getting overwhelmed. It does good damage, and it leaves the enemies in a state where you can use a web shooter or catch a breather or whatever. I wouldn't say it's the best versus like boss fights or like armored shield and enforcers or whatever, but like no, the gadgets are too far off from that regard. In Predator sections, the Web Grabber is actually kind of niche. Like, it can get a bunch of the bad guys together for you to use one of your special moves to take them all out pretty fast, right? It has a use like that if you're gonna end a stealth section, but yeah, it's not really designed for stealth sections. But I think this gadget is one of the best in the game, and honestly, this might be a little biased because I really like this gadget, but it hovers around the top of A. I think it's just shy of S tier because I don't think this is as strong as the web shooters or the web bomb, but I think the Web Grabber here is really good, so there you go. And for the final gadget, we have the Ricochet Web. Now, I think the Ricochet Web is really awesome and strong. Now, this gadget shoots a web out and it bounces to other people, webbing up multiple enemies at one time. It's kind of like the web bomb, except I think it's a tad weaker. Still though, it has a lot of value in this game for sure. It can web multiple people up on the ground, allowing for quick multiple takedowns, so that's good. And it's also a really good get off me tool. But I think what gives this a lot of value is that it keeps them stuck in a web, allowing you to web kick them up onto a wall to take them down, or use this with the upshot to get multiple enemies webbed up and yank them down and take them out. The versatility of this gadget is really strong, and it's really fun to use. It might have the highest versatility outside the web shooters in this game. One con of it is the limited ammo usage, but that's with every gadget, right? But I think this gadget is really strong. It's kind of just like the web bomb, just maybe a bit weaker. But I think the fact that you can get a bunch of people webbed up is a really valuable thing for a gadget, and because of that, I'm putting it low S tier, right below the web shooters and the web bomb. You refill gadgets pretty fast in this particular game, and I think it's nice to use overall. My thought process is that this is like the web bomb, and while you don't have the disruptor to blow them all away, the upshot can kind of be like that with the instant takedowns. The versatility for the Ricochet Web is just really high, is what I'm trying to say. I think for all those reasons, this thing to me is low S tier. And those are my rankings for all these Spider-Man gadgets. Honestly, it's hard to rank these. Like I said, they're all so good that there's no real bad ones, but you let me know what you think. If I got any wrong, let me know. If you think my list sucks, let me know. If you think I'm handsome, let me know. But as always, hope you liked the video. Make sure to like, comment, sub, all that, man. I would really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe and peace.